tuning in today, everyone. I just want to let you know my book is out and available on Amazon and Barnes& Noble. The name is Parents, Our Greatest Teachers. And now, back to our episode. Hello, everyone. This is your host, Alex Valgood, and this is Leap of Health. And today we have Meredith Oke. She's an executive and life coach. And I'm just super excited to talk to you today. We're going to be talking about why blue light is the new sugar and sunscreen is the new margarine. I mean, it sounds amazing. So I'm super excited to talk about all that. But before we get into the whole conversation, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you end up being the founder of Quantum Biology Collective.
Thanks, Alex. It's very good to be here. And I love what you're doing. And, congratulations to everyone listening to this. It's really important to listen to these kinds of podcasts because I really believe that, we're living in a time where we have to take a very proactive approach to our health, and we have to really seek out answers. We no longer live in a time where if we just kind of eat well and exercise a bit, we'll be okay. Our modern world is throwing a lot of challenges at our physical bodies. So I think it's just really important to have these kinds of podcasts and to listen to them. So it's great to be here. And yeah, my background is I worked in the media, and then I went into coaching, doing executive coaching and life coaching. And I came into the health realm, as many of us do, because I had a health issue that was not easily solved. I suffered from quite debilitating chronic fatigue for several years. And I did so many things to try and get it better. I looked at my food, I did all kinds of testing, and I did all kinds of supplements, and those things helped, but they weren't, I wasn't solving the problem. Mm-hmm. And, traditional doctors would run like standard labs and be like, your labs are fine, you're fine. And yet I wasn't, right? It's that place where I think where so many of us find ourselves, where it's, our quality of life is suffering, but we're not sick enough for the medical establishment to know what to do with us. So we're in this gray zone. And the answers that just kept coming over and over were like food, food, food. And so I got into this kind of mindset where I just felt like I was never eating properly. I was never eating healthily. And if I only could figure out my food, then I would feel better. And it started to really wear on me, and I was trying to, help my children. One of my children was unwell as well. And, having these very restrictive diets when you're trying to feed a family is like, it's quite challenging. So I had this moment where I just said to myself, okay, there must be something else, right? Like I am eating well enough that if it was food, I should have solved the problem. There must be something that I'm missing and that everybody's missing. And I really believe that there's a solution to every problem. We just have to find it. And so I kind of just took a moment and thought back over all of the podcasts and all of the interviews that I ever listened to. Was there some little something that I had missed? And I flashed to an interview with a neurosurgeon called Dr. Jack Cruz. And I remember watching an interview with him where he talked about light, and he talked about the importance of sunlight and the toxicity of light bulbs and screens. And I thought, oh, right, I forgot about that. And I went back and rewatched that interview, and then went and listened to every interview I could find with him. And I realized that I was sabotaging my health at every turn by the light bulbs and the screens that I was using and everything, and that there was no possible way that my body could recover until I dealt with that. And then I was like, this, and it really helped. It helped hugely. And I thought, this is amazing. I can't wait till like the media picks up on it and everyone starts talking about it. And like years went by and nobody did. It was just this small little corner of the internet. so I kept saying to my husband, someone should really make this more accessible, this information. And then one day I just had that moment where I was like, oh, I guess it's going to be me. So I founded the Quantum Biology Collective, which is just a collaborative network of health coaches and doctors and researchers who all understand the importance of light and health.
That's amazing. How long was that when you realized that it was the light that it was causing some of the things that you were going through?
How long had I been?
How long ago did you discover
So
that?
I started to really take light seriously in 2017. And like any major change, it took me a while to really appreciate the depth and the importance of it. So I started out by changing a few little things, and that made a difference. And so then I've moved deeper and deeper into it. But yeah, it's been about 5 years.
Nice. And it's not that long ago. And it's still like you don't hear much about how the light, the blue light really affects us, and just like artificial light in general. What are some of the things that you found that the light was maybe disrupting in your body? What was the light causing to your body?
So for me, the major symptom was fatigue. And I think this is a key symptom for a lot of people. Fatigue is often one of the early warning signs that your health is headed in a not good direction and leading to other things. However, light controls every system and every function in our body. So our hormones, our digestion, our psychology, our physiology. I mean, everything that happens in our body is orchestrated by light, which is something that current medicine doesn't really understand. It's only just starting to, but our body is filled with mitochondria. So mitochondrial health has become something that people are starting to talk more and more about. But the piece that we haven't quite got to in a mainstream way is that mitochondria back, a billion years ago, they were an organism that existed on their own. And over time, they came to be encapsulated within the human system. So they come with their own environmental sensors. So our entire body is filled with all of these billions of cells that are sensing our environment at all times. And one of the key pieces of information that they're using to sense where they are in time and space is light. So everything, our hormones, from when we wake up in the morning till when we go to bed, and then the darkness is also a key sensor. So when we disrupt that symphony, it's kind of like taking the conductor away and giving everybody in the orchestra a different piece of music. It causes chaos and dysregulation and dysfunction within our body that can show up as different symptoms in different people.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think everybody by now has heard, people commenting on like, well, if you go to bed, by that time, turn off your cell phone. If you have any other light, make sure you're like remove it from the room, because the importance of the dark too. Like,
yes, yeah,
you need that too. And we live in this culture now that literally we wake up with the blue light, we go to sleep with the blue light, and the blue light it's in between. What are some of the things that you find helpful to actually, I mean, because we live in a modern world where there's blue light everywhere. I mean, as I'm talking to you right now, I'm being exposed to blue light, right? And so what are some of the things that you found helpful in this whole road of healing?
Yeah. So I think, it's important to understand that blue light in and of itself isn't bad. There is blue light present in the frequency that comes from the sun in the middle of the day. There isn't in the morning or the evening, which we'll talk about. It's the fact that the blue light that comes out of a computer or an LED light bulb, or really most light bulbs except for incandescent ones, it's only that part of the spectrum. So it's a part of the spectrum that it's a light frequency that doesn't exist in nature, because in nature you would never have blue light on its own. It's always mixed in with red and orange and yellow and all of the other colors that come from the sun. So what our technology does and our modern light bulbs do is they take a very narrow band of that frequency and they blast it into our skin and our eyes, where we have all kinds of sensors, and it gives them the wrong information. So this is less of a problem if you're on a computer in the middle of the day. But if you're on a computer as you get towards sunset, and especially after the sun goes down, that information is highly disruptive. So it's important to understand, like I think people started to wear, blue blocking glasses. And it's like blue light is bad. Blue light is bad, but actually you don't want to block all the blue light during the day, because that actually tells your body that it's daytime. So the glasses you're wearing are great for daytime because they probably block some of the blue light. But once you reach a time of day where blue light is not present in nature, which is like getting sun, as you get towards twilight, sunset, and into the evening, then you don't want to be in front of that blue lit screen, or have those really bright overhead lights on. You want to switch to lamps with incandescent bulbs, turn the brightness down on your monitor. And so it's important to remember that the blue light is worse at different times of day.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned the difference between the light during the day and at night. How does the blue light affect us? Tell us a little bit about that.
So to be optimally healthy, we want our eyes and our skin, because we actually have photoreceptors in our skin. It's not just our eyes that's taking messages from the light frequencies. To be optimally healthy, we want all of that to be programmed by natural outdoor light. So the ideal is when we wake up in the morning, ideally we wake up close to sunrise and we go outside or open a window, because our modern windows actually filter out a lot of the frequencies. So sunlight through a window is not healing. A screen is fine, but you want to open the window or go outside. And the frequencies of sunrise tell your body that it's morning, and you start to produce all of the hormones and all of the things that your body needs, not just for the day, but for when you go to sleep that night. So you actually start to create melatonin in the morning when you wake up, and it's not released and used till you sleep, because melatonin is linked with sleep. Everyone sort of thinks of it as the sleeping hormone, which it is, but it's made in the morning. So you can start having a good night's sleep when you first wake up in the morning, and go outside and have your basically your programming set by the natural light. And then ideally you want to go outside as much as possible throughout the day. So I like to think of it as, if someone asked my eyeballs what time it was, they would know, because they were being programmed by the sun. And first thing in the morning and sunset is the most important time. And then when you are inside during the day, it's helpful to sort of reduce. The factory settings on the computers are really not that great. So you want to reduce the brightness a little bit, pull some of the blue light out. There's some software that does that. But you don't need to worry too much about it. The main thing is to think about, is the light environment that I'm in when I'm inside a close match for what's happening outside? So as you go toward the day and you get towards sunset, you might start turning off the overhead lights and switch to lamps with incandescent light bulbs. And then as you get towards bedtime, like the reading lamp in a bedroom would ideally have a red light bulb, because you want to have absolutely nothing before you fall asleep except for red light, which will not disturb your sleep.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. and it's just so crazy, right? To think that some people don't even go out the whole day sometimes, or they work in a building from, before it's even light until it's dark. So they don't really see the sunlight, I guess, especially in the winter time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. And the good news is that every little bit helps. So
oh,
literally opening your car window while you're driving, like I have a sunroof in my car, and unless it's raining, I always have it open at least a little bit, because you're letting that natural light hit your eyes. If you're working at home, you can open a window. When you're in an office building, you probably can't open windows or control the lights. But if you take your coffee breaks outside, if you take your lunch outside, if it's really cold and you can't eat outside, if you walk to get your lunch instead of like going to the basement of the building or whatever, like every stolen moment that we can connect to the sunlight will make a positive impact on our health. So I'm right now in a screened in porch and it's wonderful. My husband and I work here all day. We're basically outside all day. It's fantastic. But in the winter, not so much, but it's still, just every stolen moment matters, right? It might not be the ideal, but it still can make a difference. So if someone is in a situation where they work in a hospital or an office building and they just have to be inside and most of the time, just that small little switch of like, oh, I have to take a phone call. Could I do it outside? Or, oh, I have a coffee break. Could I do it outside? It all matters.
that's awesome. And those are good news too, because if people are listening, they're like, well, that doesn't really work for me. But as you said, every little thing, counts. So you can just go outside for a little break, or as you said, as you're driving, put the window down, let the sun hit you a little bit. That will make a big difference, and that's really awesome. What do you think about people that watches TV at night? Is that has blue light, correct?
Yes. Yeah, it does. So, there's like the ideal way of doing things. So if, I know people who, only use candles after sunset and never turn on a screen. In our house, we like to watch family movies. We like to, sometimes watch TV after dinner. And so we wear blue blocking glasses, and that works fine. So I don't do it like every single night, but like we live in a world that has some really fun stuff to watch. So that's how we deal with it. And if you have a pair of quality blue blocking glasses and you keep them on while the screen is on. And also most TVs also do have settings where you can lower the brightness a little bit. So we usually go in and play around with that. It's not going to take the blue light out, but it does at least lower some of the intensity. So we decrease the intensity of the screen and wear blue blockers. And then you can have a somewhat normal life.
and it's cool. I actually owned a bunch of glasses with the blue blocking light.
Yeah.
These ones are my prescribed glasses, and they also have the blue light. So it's not too bad. Like you can really, if you really think that's going to make a difference in your life because you're feeling fatigue or some other, physical symptoms that you're, having, especially when you mentioned earlier, you try, diet and things like that, they were still doing good for you, but, it might be the light, it's worth to try to actually, go outside, get some sun, not so much exposure to blue light. I think it's pretty worth trying, and it's not that expensive either. So it's great.
I'd say it's more than worth trying. I would say that if you don't manage your light environment, you're not going to be healthy. Or you're not going to, whatever you're trying to recover from, you will not recover until you get your light right. And if you're feeling okay, you're going to get sick at some point. Like the detrimental health effects of dysregulating our circadian biology are extreme. So I have people ask me like, oh, I have such and such a condition, like would light help? And I'm like, well, I don't know what that is. I've never heard of it, but yes, because light, except for like those very rare genetic diseases, like the certain kinds of childhood leukemia and things like that, everything is connected to light. So if we don't implement some of these things and we keep looking at screens with our bare eyeballs at nighttime, like we can't get better and we will get sick. And for blue blocking glasses at night, they need to be orange. So there's a lot of different ones on the market. And in the daytime, like the kind that you're wearing right now, if it's still light out, those are fine.
Yeah.
But if you're if you're on a computer, phone, TV, after sunset, you need the ugly orange ones.
Really?
Yes,
Okay.
the clear ones and the yellow ones will not sufficiently block
That's good to know
the
too.
blue light. They will filter it a little bit, so they're fine. They're great for daytime, just to take the edge off. You need those really orange lenses for nighttime.
Awesome. We'll definitely look them up. I'll also put some links on the show notes for that too, for everybody that wants to try different type of glasses. I think it's I mean, I love my glasses. It's cool. And they do make a difference, because I want to say I've been doing the blue light for around, I don't know, maybe like 9 years. It's been like a long time. And people didn't even know it, like, as what you were saying. And they will notice my glasses that I get this like little tint on my eyelashes, and they're like, wait, do you have eyelash? And I'm like, no, it's it's not makeup or anything, it's my glasses. It protects me from the computer. And the reason why I got that from my optometrist, it was because I'm on the computer the whole day, so my eyes will get like red. And it was just so unbearable. It was just like too much. I don't know if I'm like just too sensitive about it with the light or something. But since then, I could stay on my computer for a long time and my eyes feel fine. The same with the TV. So I think, it's been great for me. Me as an example of everybody that's listening, I've done it for like a lot of years to tell you it's worth to put that extra filter on your prescribed glasses, or if you just use them for like TV or movies, whatever, get those ones that they sell on Amazon or whatever. So it's pretty cool, and it's for your health. And that takes me to the question of like how a lot of people has trouble sleeping. And I don't think nobody thinks about like, it's my cell phone, it's my TV, it's me not going out. Tell us a little bit of the impact from the blue light.
Yeah. So the blue light destroys your sleep. Like it just destroys it. So there has been a lot of coverage in the last few years on how important it is to get a good night's sleep. And so I think if people don't have an understanding, I would just start out by saying that getting quality sleep for a sufficient amount of time is like foundational to good health. Like you can't,
Yes. And so we're talking about the blue light and, some of the problems that causes, especially with sleeping.
Yeah. So quality sleep is foundational to health. And there's been a lot of good coverage of that in the last few years. There've been a lot of books published. I've seen lots of articles in the media. Really high achieving people have started to talk about how they get 8 hours of sleep every night. And, it's become less cool to be someone who never sleeps and is always doing stuff. So I think it's becoming quite well understood that so many important things happen while we're sleeping. We go into a process called autophagy, where our cells heal and repair themselves, and those that are too broken to heal or repaired get kind of like thrown in the trash and cleaned out. And it's quality sleep is deeply restorative and like really, really, really important to recovering from illness and staying healthy. Blue light trashes our sleep. So even if we fall asleep easily, the quality of our sleep is not as good if we've exposed ourselves to screens or bright light bulbs in the hours leading up to going to bed. So if we think of the process of autophagy as like running a dishwasher, and if we are in sync with our circadian biology and following the natural rhythms of light, and we've had either darkness or only red light right before we fall asleep, or we've had blue blockers on right up if we are exposed to other light. And then when we go to sleep, the process of autophagy is like having like a dishwasher with just like blasting hot water and really good detergent, and the dishes come out sparkling clean. Blue light, if we expose ourselves to blue light and strong light bulbs before we go to sleep and we run the dishwasher, and it's like, well, you know, I still slept. Like I used to sleep 10 hours a night when I had chronic fatigue, and I would wake up feeling tired, and I didn't understand why. And it was because the quality of my sleep was not good. It's like turning on the dishwasher and like just like a little trickle of cold water comes out.
Right.
And you take out the dishes and you eat off them and you put them back in, and you do that process over and over. That's what we're doing to ourselves when we're not getting good sleep. And that's what we're doing. And when we don't have the correct lighting environment to match up with our circadian biology, is that we've taken away that ability for our cells to repair and get rid of the ones that aren't working. And so we are weighing ourselves down, and it's like fatigue and brain fog, and then and on and on and on. It's been linked to early onset Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. Like there's just so many things, like so many things. So if someone is sleeping a lot but still feels tired, or having trouble falling asleep, or wakes up in the middle of the night and can't fall back asleep, like these are all signs that that our circadian rhythms are disrupted.
Yeah.
And the great thing is that you can reset it within like 2 days. Like if anyone's having trouble sleeping, my challenge would be for 2 days in a row, eat dinner really, really early, because food is also a circadian signal.
Mm-hmm.
So eat dinner really early, like 4:30, 5 o'clock, and wear blue blockers right up until you go to sleep if you have lights on, and wake up at sunrise and go outside, and do that for 2 days in a row and see how you feel. It's pretty amazing. Like our bodies just turn right back on. I mean, I'm not saying all your symptoms will go away that quickly, but the circadian rhythm can be reset that quickly.
And that's awesome. And yeah, like as you mentioned now, like celebrities and people, you know, that are like on the media, they're talking about the importance of actually sleeping a full 8 hours or a little bit more if you can. Now it's a cool thing.
Yeah, exactly. It is.
And it's really, really important. And I know a lot of people, they will say like, oh, I'm a night owl or whatever it is that they call them. But it's like, no way. You know, like, do you have a lot of energy to do during the day? Are you super sharp? Do you feel well? Are you like in optimal health? And I could bet you anything that all these people that says that they're a night owl, they don't have that. They don't check all those boxes, you know. So I think we're thinking, you know, what's cool and what's really good for your body. It's super, super important.
Absolutely. And I know so many, because I have interviewed people who are involved in you know, circadian biology, whether it's entrepreneurs, doctors, health coaches. And I've met so many people who thought they were night owls and realized that they just had dysregulated circadian biology. And there's even a whole field of study, like chronotypes, like, no, some people genuinely are. And it's like, no, nobody is made to be up on a computer at 2:00 in the morning. Like that, nobody should, like, that's not a natural state for a human. And yeah, I know so many people, musicians, and they were doing shows all the time late at night, and then they'd sleep all day, or writers, and they do all their writing at night. And yeah, once they started getting up and living with the sunlight, that completely changed. They were like, oh my God, I go to bed at 9:00. I'm tired. Because that's the other thing, is if once you do start living in alignment with circadian rhythm, you do feel tired earlier, because our bodies naturally want to go to sleep when it gets dark out. And we start to notice that more when we're in alignment. And I also have people ask me, because a lot of the time in the summer, the sun comes up at like 4:30 or 5 in the morning where they live. And so people are like, do I have to get up that early? And the answer is, to get the benefits to our biology, you do want to be outside during sunrise. You don't actually have to see the sun coming over the horizon, but just to be outside or near an open window at sunrise. But then you can go back to bed if you're still tired. I do that all the time in the summer, because our schedule is a little more relaxed. The kids don't have school, and sunrise is really early. So I often go outside, hang outside for like 5 or 10 minutes, and then go back to bed.
And it's usually those days in summer are super long too. So we really don't have to wake up that early. I guess we could get some slack, maybe like 6, because no one is gonna wake up before.
Yeah, I mean, I know I know many people I know who live in sort of the quantum lifestyle, as we call it. They just wake up, and I also do, like, my body just wakes up when it gets light outside, because I'm just in that rhythm. And I know a lot of people who don't get tired and don't go back to sleep even when sunrise is at 5 a.m. I'm not one of those people, but it is possible. People you just have a different level of energy.
Yeah, for sure. And I could say too, by experience, when I used to do training or rehearsal, I'm a professional dancer. So there was like about 3 or 4 years that I will train in the morning really early, and I will train at night, and I will go to bed very, very late. And I did that for a long, long time. And my energy was like up and down, up and down. It was never like a steady, feel, I guess. And then after COVID, that kind of like all stopped. And, we were all home and really not doing any socializing or like social events or anything like that. And I gotta say, probably since COVID, or maybe a little bit before that, I started doing that. I will just wake up early and go to bed early too. And I noticed the difference. Like, now I get very tired early, and I'm ready to go to bed. And everybody's like, what is wrong with you? Like, you used to go to bed like really late. But that's just like my body. It's in the cycle that it's just, I wake up early, I don't even need my alarm. I wake up naturally, and I'm like, oh, great. I'm ready. And I'm one of those people at the office that I'm like, hey, good morning. Everyone's like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
But it's just so important. And as I said, it doesn't take too much to get in that rhythm again.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that about yourself that changing your lifestyle have become better? I know you mentioned fatigue. Do you had any other illness or disease that you noticed that he actually was relieved or got better?
Yeah. So for me, the main thing was fatigue and brain fog. I didn't even really realize how bad the brain fog was till it started to go away. So that you hear people say, like, talk about that a lot. Like fatigue and brain fog are very common ones. Those were the main ones for me, but I have interviewed people who have recovered from all kinds of pretty intense health situations, as well as people who weren't that sick. They just didn't feel that great. Right. And so a lot of these people now feel better at age 50 than they did at age 35. Because like they have more energy, they're more fit, they're stronger. Most people I talk to, like a lot of the people who find this information have been on quite a long health journey. So a lot of them have had a very robust approach to health, and they really exercised a lot. They were doing CrossFit and they were eating, they had really like intense diets. And most people who I have spoken to, once they've adopted this kind of circadian lifestyle and this quantum lifestyle where they've adjusted and started living more in harmony with the light rhythms of nature, they exercise less with less intensity, and they're more fit and have lost weight. There's a doctor, an ophthalmologist called Dr. J. Montgomery, and he was at a point where he was so ill. He had a brain condition, and nobody could figure out what to do with him. He could barely walk across the room. And he was a person who ate really healthy. He did CrossFit like 4 times a week. He did surgery all day. And he was at a point where they were recommending that he have part of his brain removed. Like that was the best option that the medical establishment could come up with. And he's a surgeon himself. So he was talking to the best of the best. He knew how to find really good people, and nobody knew what to do with him. And he was like, I'm not letting you operate on my brain. And he started researching this information. And he reversed all of his symptoms. He came off all of his medications. He's now healthier than he was before he started. And he traced the onset of his symptoms to when all of the records in his practice switched to electronic. So he was looking at screens all day long and looking through to perform the surgery as an ophthalmologist, looking through, the little microscopes that were also lit. So he was just all day long staring at all of this light, and then going home and having bright LED light bulbs. But it was so intense for him. He had such an intense reaction to it that he nearly lost his brain function. And when he changed all his lights, he got better.
That's amazing.
He was on like 6 different kinds of medication, and he's, over time weaned off, I think, all of them.
That is amazing. That is so, and it gives us hope for everybody listening. Come on, everyone. It doesn't take that much to actually, it feels good going outside. If it's good, going to bed early, blocking the light, the blue light with the glasses, and little things that you do. I mean, you're going to feel so much better, and it's just so great. And I know you talk about getting in sync with nature and this quantum healing. Tell us why it's important to go back to that from this like crazy culture that we live with, this internet and gadgets attached to our body and everything.
Yeah, well, I think, we've innovated our way into a health crisis, right? With all of this technology, and we lost the understanding of how our bodies really work. So somewhere in between Edison inventing the light bulb and the personal computer and the iPhone, somehow along that whole trajectory, nobody thought to check what all of this artificial light was going to do to the human organism. But once you start to look at it, it really makes sense. Like human beings evolved outside. In terms of evolution, we've been living indoor lifestyles for like 5 seconds, right? Like if you look at the whole of human history, it's really a very short period of time that we've been sort of forcing our physical systems to live within basically like an alien framework with alien light. And science is just now starting to catch up to understand, because our understanding of biology wasn't complex enough to make that link. And now scientists are starting to understand that our bodies are actually operating at a quantum level. So in the same way that we had Newtonian physics, and then some scientists were like, hey, we're starting to observe things that Newtonian physics can't explain. And then there was enough evidence of things happening at a subatomic level that Newtonian physics had no explanation for, that quantum physics was born. And we're now at a point where there's so much happening within animals and humans that can't be explained by biochemistry, that quantum biology is becoming the new emerging field of understanding human health. And there's some amazing work being done that has proven that, for example, birds migrate using a quantum system. And up until recently, if you asked any physicist, they would say quantum biologic processes can only happen in cold, dark places, not in living organisms. It's too hot and wet. So there's no quantum effects going on inside a human body or inside an animal. And now it has been proven with the bird migration that there are. So if we are now looking at the human system from a quantum biologic perspective instead of just a biochemical perspective, that opens up our understanding and makes it so obvious that everything in our environment is having an effect on our health, not just the things that we put into our body like food or supplements or medicine, but the light environment that we're in, the emotional environment that we're in, like everything, our bodies are reading their surroundings at all times. So I think within the next decade, we're going to think about light in the same way that we think about food, in terms of like, we will understand that if you have a purely toxic diet, light diet, you're going to be really sick. In the same way we understand that if you only eat junk food, you're going to be really sick.
That's amazing. And I'm so excited for all these like scientists and research that are coming up now, because it's super important to keep understanding why our bodies are getting sick, why, medicine is no longer helping, why, our food is not helping at a certain point. And also, there's so many other factors. Our food, it's not as enriched as it was 300 years ago, because we have polluted our environment and all these things. So it's a lot of things that is just so cool to have all these scientists coming up with research, having people like you that's interested in other than what we already knew as biology. Now there's something else that is happening, and it's been happening for a few years now, but now people are still barely catching up to things like that. So it's super, super cool. And I mean, you gave us so much information today, and I'm so happy. I hope I can have you again, because I know we can talk about many more things. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us before we go?
I guess I would just share that, you asked me earlier about sort of changes that happened when I started learning about this. And I think one thing that's really worth sharing is that, well, it really makes you get such a huge benefit for really quite simple steps, but also it's made my approach to health way more fun. It's brought like a kind of joyfulness to it. Whereas I feel a lot of the time when we think about trying to be healthy, it feels like a punishment, like, oh, don't eat that and don't drink that and don't do that and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, go play outside, go for a walk after dinner.
Yes.
Just it's really opened up a kind of enjoyment of being healthy that I have to say was not my experience of being healthy before that.
Yeah, for sure. I think going back to our roots, what we're supposed to do. We're not really made to be in a building for 8 hours. I mean, nobody likes to be in a building for 8 hours. Everybody's either sleeping or wondering about what's going on outside, or something. But something that we're made of to do is to go outside and be outdoors and enjoy the day. So I think thinking about those things, going back to roots, eating well, going outside, breathe,
Yeah.
all those things
Yes.
that I think we just forget, and it's so important. And I'm so happy you mentioned all those things, because it's now that we don't know, I felt almost that we just need to continue to be a reminder to each other of like, oh damn it, I didn't go outside today. Let me go step outside and see what's gonna breathe some fresh air or something, little stretch. I didn't eat fruits. Let me go do that. Let me drink water. I forgot to drink water the whole day. So I think, those things are just so important, just to keep each other, reminded of things. So thank you for being here today. This conversation was so amazing, and it keeps my mind going to like, oh my God, I need to do this and that. So I hope everybody got as much as I did today. If anyone wants to follow you or have any questions of what you're doing now with the Quantum Biology Collective, where can they find you?
Yes. So if you're looking for a practitioner, you want a health coach or a doctor who really understands this, we just launched a directory. It's free. It's at thequantumbiologycollective.org. We've got some videos there and some articles that give a little bit more information about everything. And then you can go into the directory and actually find somebody to work with. Because I think that really makes a big difference to have someone who knows your situation. And so you can do that if you are looking for somebody. We also do education if you're a practitioner and you want to, we do a certification in circadian biology. That's at circadiancertified.com. And we're on Instagram and Twitter at Quantum Health TV. And we put lots of good stuff on there, and we link to other people who also do good stuff. There's a lot of amazing practitioners and researchers who are doing really, I'm blown away by the work that they're doing. So we link to all of them as well.
That's awesome. I will put all that information on the show notes too, so you guys can reach out to Meredith today, or if you guys have any questions, she can also help out with that. Thank you everybody for being here today. If you need to know any more about my show, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, everywhere as Alex Valgood, or you can just go to my website, alexvalgood.com. Remember also, my book is out. It's in Barnes & Nobles and Amazon. It's called Parents Are Greatest Teachers. So buy a copy, leave me a review, DM me, let me know if you like it or not. Anything goes. Thank you everyone for being here today, and have a blessed day.